I'd say first of all, I loved the way we practiced Wednesday and today. Um, Thought that we looked fast. Thought we looked really intentional in everything that we were doing. I thought the spirit and the energy was high. So all those things were really positive. Monday and Tuesday, we were really trying to, get understanding the game plan. You could feel the guys almost thinking through it. But Wednesday and Thursday, we felt fast, we felt energized, and felt really good to me. So that was a real positive. I think you all probably have heard the news. DeMarvion's going to be suspended the first half of the game for the targeting penalty last week. We did appeal it, and it came back from the NCAA that it was upheld. So we'll move forward with all the people that we have and feel good about those guys. And we'll get Demo back to start the second half. So all in all, it's a heck of a challenge for us. Like I said earlier in the week, going on the road in our conference to Lubbock, playing Texas Tech with a new coach and Coach McGuire, new coordinators. I'm sure we're going to get some things that we haven't seen before on tape. So our ability to handle the adversity from the environment, the crowd, our opponent is going to be critical to our success. And it was going to take a lot of resiliency. It's going to take a lot of perseverance. It's going to take a lot of team chemistry coming through and execution ultimately to perform well.
Thanks, Coach. We'll go ahead and get started with Kirk.
Yeah, Steve, who replaces Demo to start? And is Quinn Ewers making the trip and suiting up?
So Tucker Dorsey will start in Demo's place and feel great about him. He's got just a bunch of experience, and when he's played for us here in the first 3 games, he's played really well. So like I said, that part, we're fortunate to have such an experienced player that can step right in and start in his absence. Quinn will make the trip. He'll suit up. And, like I said, and I mean it when I say it, I think all of our guys have had a better week than they had a week ago. That's for sure. So confident about that.
Dennis, go ahead.
When it comes to Hudson, how much have you seen him grow? That Arkansas game last year was a tough one for him, yet he went to work and is where he is. How much more mature do you see him? How much more road ready do you see him a year later?
Well, I think Hudson has really matured mentally. I think he's more than capable of operating our offense and doing it at a high level. But I think our team has too. I feel bad when you guys ask me questions like that, because it's like Hudson was the reason we got the brakes beat off us at Arkansas last year. We played terrible as a team. We coached terrible as a staff. We didn't have our team ready to play. And so naturally, as the quarterback goes, you get more credit than you deserve when things go well, and you get more blame than you deserve when things don't go well. So he'll be ready to go when his number's called. And like I said, he's matured quite a bit, and I'm proud of him. This journey here has not been an easy one for him. You get named a starter, then we change starters, you come back, you compete your tail off, you name another guy the starter, an injury happens, you step in, you're playing well, you get banged up, you continue to fight through it. So like I said, I've been really proud of Hudson and all that he means to our program, and we're really lucky to have him.
Anwar, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, 2 questions. Will your quarterback who starts, will that be a game time decision for you? And the second question with that, how many quarterbacks will travel to Lubbock? And can you kind of go into whether it's 3 or 4, what went into the thought process for that one?
No, I'll know before the game who's going to start. I'd hate to wait until they take the field of who's going. I'm just kidding. No, we're going to tell them who's starting beforehand. We're going to travel 4 guys. I've been impressed with Malik this week. I think that he has made really good strides, as again, I touched on it, as compared to a week ago from where he was to where he was this week. So I think this is invaluable experience for quarterbacks to be able to go on the road, to be involved in the game planning, to hear play calls, to hear adjustments. So to get him to be able to go with us this week, I think is real positive.
Danny, you're up.
Steve, now that you've gotten a little bit more time to look over the game film, what are your thoughts about what Texas Tech has done with their passing offense, especially against good Houston and North Carolina State teams?
Yeah, well, I think one thing that they do a really good job of is pushing the ball vertically. There's a lot of seam routes. There's a lot of switch release seam routes, and then their quarterback has the ability to make these throws. And then they've got big physical receivers on the perimeter. They're long. I think the two outside receivers are 6'4" and 6'5" respectively. So when they get their one-on-ones, they're tough to defend as well. Not to mention all of the crossing routes that they'll call to get guys the ball in space. And so they tax you in a way that they can push the ball vertically, but yet they can play the crossing route game, the mesh game, which causes issues too, because one moment you want to stop the crossers and then they're throwing seam routes. One minute you want to try to stop the seam routes and they're dumping the ball off underneath and catching and running. So you've got to do a good job of mixing your coverages against these guys. You got to do a good job of trying to affect the quarterback. And then ultimately, you got to do a great job on third down and getting off the field.
Joe, go ahead.
Steve, I don't know what your numbers may say, but I think of the double-digit opportunities you've taken downfield to Xavier Worthy, he's only hauled in 2. Is there something you can pinpoint on that? And how do you improve that, considering it's such a big component of your offense?
Well, I think it's like anything. When you're taking shots down the field, it's kind of like being a home run hitter in baseball. Your average probably isn't going to be as high. But when you connect and when you hit it, it's worth a lot more. And so we understand that our percentages probably won't be quite as high. I'd like to think that when you throw the ball deep, some good things can happen. You can catch it. You can create pass interference penalties, which unfortunately we just haven't gotten. I would argue maybe there could have been a couple. We haven't gotten those. And it sets a tone to help and get other things open for you, to where they have to defend that part of the field. And maybe that creates more opportunities on intermediate and shorter routes, and also obviously helps the run game as well. So, we'll continue to do it. Naturally, we'd like to hit them all, but the best way to try to hit them is practice them, which we do, and find them rapport with all of our receivers and the quarterback. So when we do take those shots, we can go make those plays.
Cedric, you're up.
Hey, Steve. The guys we talked to this week, Keandre and Bijan, they all mentioned the same number. They said you're 70 against that whole crowd. As a competitor yourself, how forward are you looking to seeing how these guys answer this challenge in the most hostile environment they will have played in this season?
Well, I'm excited for them. I think, like you said, as a competitor, you kind of love these moments. You love the opportunity. And I think you have to love the opportunity. I think if you go in there uncertain or without the right belief in the people around you, that's when you can start to second guess and you can play with too much caution. And that's how you get beat. I think you have to go in confident with the people around you, whether there's players, coaches, whatever they are. But I'm excited for our guys because we put a lot of work in for moments like this. And that connectivity, that bond that our guys have with one another, nobody should feel like they're out there on the field by themselves, that we're going in this thing together. And it's going to take all of us that make this trip to try to come out of there with a victory. So, it's always tough trying to get to 70 guys to get to that number, because I'd love to bring 80 to 90, quite frankly. But the rule is 70. And so we got to bring the right 70 because everybody's got a role on this trip to help us be successful.
Chip, go ahead.
Steve, how would you assess the offense on third down so far?
We've been fine. We've been put in some unique third down scenarios, a couple really third and longs, which the percentages are never great there. But we've been put in a lot of unique third down opportunities that have, in my opinion, are 4 down territory, meaning I know we're going to go for it on 4th down anyway. So in reality, in my mind, I look at it as 2nd down. And so sometimes that can affect our numbers of, well, they didn't convert it. Well, no, I ran the ball on 3rd and 8, knowing I was going to go for it on 4th down. And so we look at it as a combination of 3rd and 4th down. Because to me, when you do it that way, a couple of games when our percentages weren't very good, you tally that up with the 4th down attempts that we had after the 3rd down, all of a sudden our percentage is pretty good. So, numbers are numbers, stats are stats. We can do anything with them when we get them. I look more about the overall production of the offense and our drive efficiency. And, would I like to convert every 3rd down and never have to deal with force? Sure. But sometimes the call that I make dictates the reality of what's probably about to happen on the next play, which is going to be 4th down.
Terry, go ahead.
Coach Sarkisian, there's a great quote by the late, great Woody Hayes that goes like this. It says, "There can be no great victories in life without tremendous adversity." And so do you think that this team feels that to their core? DeMarvin and Overshawn having to sit out and deal with that. Quinn Ayers having to do that. Does the team get that in order to have great victories, this is what it takes to go up there to face that crowd that you're about to face? This is what life is. But do you think they believe it internally?
Well, I think that we speak a lot to things of this nature. I think football and being on a football team and a college football team has got a lot of parallels with life. And life and adversity of life can come at you a lot of different ways. You never know what shape, form, color, size it's going to present itself, and you never know when it's going to present itself. How we respond to the adversity, I think ultimately is what shapes us as individuals and ultimately what shapes us as a team. And so far, I've loved the way that our team has responded to the adversity that we've gotten faced with. And a year ago, not so much, but this year, the way we've responded, I've been extremely impressed. It has not gone according to script. This hasn't been just some, how would you write out the first 3 games of the season? Would it go exactly like this? No. But I do believe that there's power in overcoming adversity and resiliency and coming out on the other side of it. And I think we've done that so far. Ultimately, it's a long season and we're going to get faced with more adversity. That I think that the triumphs that we've had up until this point is only strengthening us for the adversity that we continually get faced with.
Got time for the 3 last ones in queue. Roger started off.
Sorry, to that point, this game's historically pretty high scoring. Doesn't mean it will be Saturday, but is that also something with your defense that, you take a few punches and still a big stop in the 4th quarter if you're giving up big numbers is just as important as a low scoring game?
I really think every game takes on a personality and a life of its own, and you never know how games are going to go. You never know, just what can happen. I do think there's a flow to the game once you get into it. And I think as a play caller, we can kind of dictate some of that even at times. The reality of it is the ultimate goal when we get back in that locker room Saturday in Lubbock is to come out with a victory. And to do the things necessary to try to get a victory. And that boils down to execution. That boils down to mental intensity. That boils down to understanding situations in game and playing really smart football. And so whether it's a high scoring game, a low scoring game, somewhere in there, we're going to have to make plays, and we're going to have to make plays at critical moments in the 4th quarter of this game. And my expectation is that we will. I shouldn't think otherwise, because this team has shown me nothing but that they will do that. And so, hey, if it's 6-3 or 43-40, at the end of the day, we're going to have to make plays in all 3 phases to try to come out of there with the victory.
2 last ones. Ryan, you're up.
Hey, Coach. Last year, obviously, first away game at Arkansas in a very tough environment, like you've mentioned. Going into your year 2, first away game at Tech in another tough environment, is there anything you learned specifically last year from the Arkansas game that you can use this year now for year 2?
I think inevitably learn a little bit about our players. I don't like last year. I think our players really wanted to win. Yeah, I don't think we went to Arkansas thinking, man, I don't want to play good. They wanted to play well. They wanted to win. They wanted to, perform. I do think there was a little bit last year of being caught up a little bit too much in what was going on around us, whether it was the stadium, the crowd noise, the T-shirts, all the things that were going on. And I think that this year, because of where our focus has been, it's been about us and being enamored with what we do and how we do and why we do what we do. This game really is no different that way. We need to be enamored with us and what we're doing and focus on what we need to do to be successful.